Well, good evening. I'm Robert A. Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom. I am hypnoacuity. Acuity is about keenness of mind, keenness of listening, vision, and listening. But tonight I want to talk about something I expanded into today and over this week. And it is my childhood haunts. And I was at a fire walk on Saturday. And I was going through there and they had one question in there about commitment, action, all that, but they had one about how do you feel, how you're with society. And it come up, I was afraid. And this is a confession of some of my inner haunts. And then I sat there and I've done some real deep introspection on this, and it comes back from my childhood. Because in your childhood you have teachers that say things and the family and everybody, and your subconscious and unconscious embed things you have no clue that's in there. And from the womb to 3 years old, you live subconsciously. And so whatever happens in there is embedded. And I embedded everything about what was going on. So what I did was I went in there and looked and seen how everything went, and I discovered there was some stuff in there that I had no clue was in there. You know, teachers ridicule you, teachers compare you. Well, all that stuff is emotionally embedded because thoughts are of the head, of the brain, feelings are of the body, but the emotions are the memories of everything. So when the emotions are engaged in any situation, whatever the representation inside you is, your feelings, your brain, your chemicals in your brain, all that, they're going to respond and react all at once. That's where I really discovered the reactionary emotions control my life. So I started really opening up to paying attention to them reactionary emotions. And then I discovered if I can break out in laughter or make myself laugh, I break that reactionary emotion. And so I named it Fred Flintstone. So when it comes up and it starts acting up, I say, oh, Fred's here to play. And it breaks the emotion and it makes that state within myself. And then I discovered as I look back and I was afraid of society, that come down from my circle of influence, parents, everything in life. And that's where I stayed the same. Because I was really trying to do the thinking. What I really tried to do was cover it up and never look at it and say, oh, I'm a tough guy and I can get out of that and I can do this. That's a lie I told myself. You know, every lie you tell to the world is really a lie you tell to yourself. And whatever you try to justify, you justify a lie and something that isn't right within you by being, oh yeah, that's their fault. And if you're looking outside of yourself, if you look any further out in front of you or behind you or outside of your shoulders, you're looking too far for what's going on in your life. I really understand now I have no enemies in the physical world. There is something inside me that I have to expand out of to expand out. And this is a sentence I come up with for everybody if you choose to want to use it. I liberate from me as I expand out of whatever I desire to expand out whatever I desire to experience. That takes the animosity and all the anchored rancor out of me, within me. But I've really come down to this when I said I was afraid of society. I was. I have no problem going out and communicating with society, but standing up there telling people that I can expand their life, that's where I had my challenge. And I can expand people's lives because I have done it to myself. And the way I look at it is when I can expand hard-headed, stubborn me, I can expand anybody because I'm probably as stubborn and hard-headed as anybody in the world until now. Because I naturally opened the wisdom within me. Because to understand inspiration, wisdom, innovation, imagination, and my talents are unique to me and they will expand my life. And it's just like Edison or current Kentucky Fried Chicken. They had to the Colonel Sanders failed 1,008 times, Edison 5,000 times. You never fail in life. You just discover something that isn't going to take you to the promised land. We are so ingrained with failure from the society way of looking at life, we're afraid to fail, so we stay the same. And that is something we really do without us even having a clue what's going on. So as I awaken to this, I awaken to that inside myself. So I really now understand it was my childhood embedded stuff that bluffed me into staying the same. And I did it, and I'll admit it. But if I admit it, I get rid of it, and now I can be at the end, and that's intestinal tenacity to move forward. But the biggest person we fear in life is ourselves and our own abilities. And that is something I really understand now as we really expand to this, and we can get out of yesterday. It's really about letting go of the childhood haunts that we all embed. And we try to hide from our childhood. I did. I'll admit this. And this is liberation for me. When you admit it, you liberate yourself. And what other people think, that's absolutely fine. But it's really about expanding who you are your way. And it's about opening up the intestinal fortitude within yourself. People love to see people fail. Don't ask me why. They just do. And that is where the emotional rancor really comes in, because when we fail, people make fun of us and ridicule us. And the quickest way out of ridicule is a simple word of thank you. Because when somebody's ridiculing you for moving forward in life, they're really expressing their fears and they're afraid to move forward, and they're praising you for your willingness to move forward. It's called the thrillwill. That's a trend-setting hellraiser resolve, invigorating, lionized lure, whimsically innovating life today. Well, we really got to get the thrillwill to move forward. Life is thrilling, but we become to let it be mundane and stay the same, and that was me. But when I got into this, I really discovered I embedded things from my parents' viewpoints, my viewpoints, and there was kind of an underlying stubborn selfishness in there, I discovered, because it was all about me. And that was it. If it wasn't for me, it wasn't right. Well, that was a bite in my butt bullshit I went through. But it's really about me being of service to the world with a visionary vulnerability and an authenticity that lights the world with a newfound foresight. But service means stimulating everybody's visionary energy to move forward, because everybody is a visionary when we quit living in yesterday. But however, I'm really having to expand out of this more and more every day, because the thoughts, emotions, and feelings come from yesterday. And you're going to think and know your way all the way to yesterday. Today is a new day of trend-setting opportunities, dawning, affluence, jazz in your life. But I got caught up in myself. Oh, look what's happened to me. You know, everybody likes to put the drama and trauma out there so they look like they really went through something. But if you can break it into 10 words or less, you take away a lot of the angst out of it. Because nothing happens more than what we do in our mind, but our mind likes to make us superhero. So trauma is making us a superhero when it's making us a silly zero in life. And that's where I admit I was, and it's happened to me. But my childhood happenstances, I embedded them as a pity me thing. And however your parents talked and you talk about your life, that is the life you live. And I asked myself that question today. Well, how do I speak about my life? And if you complain, you're going to get more complaining. But it's really about opening up to the ordained, the fame of our own brain, innovation, talents, and open our heart to our own self-worth. Because everybody's wisdom, innovation is unique, but it's also unique to the world. It'll expand the world, but we're so societized in this that we think it's got to be something like a Microsoft or an Amazon. It's the little things in the world that make big things. See, Amazon and Microsoft, they started out with some challenges, but they didn't back down and stay in the challenges. They kept moving forward. And that's where I found out about myself in my childhood. I stepped back when I should have stepped forward a bunch of times. And that is where I unwind the divine of my daredevilry to be free of yesterday. Because life is going to show me the door, but it's up to me to open the door. To soar of an adventurous ardor, appreciating life. And there's 3 words that really, really opened me up now, and it's liberation, appreciation, and gratitude. Yeah, and thank you, and no thank you, and expand, energize, enterprise experience allows me to stroll through life with a sassy tenacity, realizing optimistic lure, love and life. Because it opens my eyes to my whys. When we stop living in our childhood, which is ingrained, and something I have really expanded into watching and witnessing in my life and other people's life. We graduated high school, but we never got out of the cliques and all the stuff of high school because the cliques still gang up on people. I seen this at work. It's happened to me. It happened to me in high school. I was bullied as a child. Then I got out of high school. I became the bully, and I had a wicked verbiage on me. I could hurt people, and that is something that I had to expand out of, because bullied people become wicked in their older age, or they do something. But people get in cliques and they say things and they don't realize, and I didn't realize that I was actually hurting the person on the inside. It's a it's a painful emotion, hurt feelings, and the unsavory thoughts that control our life from our childhood. And me to sit here and say that somebody had some terrible stuff happen to it and say just let it go, that doesn't work. That will not expand anybody. That will keep everybody the same. But however, if you can look at that experience and find one way to start appreciating something in that experience, appreciation is the highest form of forgiveness there is. It allows you to get the value of the situation, and it's above what the other person did because you're appreciating your talents, your listening abilities, and everything. And that's the way I had to disband and disconnect from my childhood, my unsavory and and my bad things that happened to me in my childhood. Because everybody's had bad things happen in their childhood. But however, that is all ingrained in the subconscious and unconscious landscape and representations that come forward. And them representations are engaged by emotions, feelings, and the thoughts. Because when something in the physical world that mirrors that situation, your brain chemicals, your emotions energize the brain chemicals and the representations, and you go through life the same way. And for me, it was right in the reactionary emotions activated, right up and right out my mouth, and I didn't care what I said to anybody. And that was me being controlled by the outside world. That is where I had to let go of, because a thank you diffuses the ruse and opens my amazing muse to magically unleash sassy, enterprising energy to walk beyond that situation. It's about stopping the rat-a-tat crap that's within you and not be busy and work hard and all this. It's about facilitating and participating in your dreams, your desired outcome, and feeling the fulfillment within yourself. The fulfillment is F-U-L-F-I-L-L-M-I-N-T, because you have to feel the sweet splendor within yourself to move forward. And I am Robert A. Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom Hypnoacuity. My website is mycowboywisdom.com. I got a book at mywisdombreeze.com. That's my new book. And my email is robert@mycowboywisdom.com. Life is for me, and never ever against me. That matures my enterprising energy to realize the wisdom within me will travel me through life in a big, bold, bright way. With that, I say good night.